So the in-laws are out of town. They're on a trip with my parents to South America, and I think it's one of my favorite things in life that I couldn't have ever asked for, but my in-laws and my parents are good friends. It's a gift. I couldn't have asked for it. So hi, I'm Sinae. I'm the CEO of Sadie Sage, and I'm married to my lovely husband for over 12 years. We have 3 kids, and I'm gonna do a get ready with me super quick. It's been a while, but I am doing a new trick where you mix your primer or lotion with your foundation. It's quicker, and apparently it really works to keep moisturization in and locking it in. This air has been so dry here. We had those crazy LA fires that are still not 100% contained, and in January LA is windy and dry. The rain has not started to hit. Usually it does rain and we're praying for it. But also now we're also a little concerned about the rain because that could lead to mudslides with all that ash, all the damage from the fires. It's been really weird 2 weeks. So as a company based in LA, there's been a lot on our minds. We've been so fortunate to be about 15 minutes away from the fire, but not affected beyond the air quality. Our team, everybody in our team was far enough away. We're so lucky. However, we do know we have friends, more than just a handful, who have lost everything or can't get back to their house yet. I'm from Houston, so flooding, hurricanes, wind damage, torrential rain, all those things kind of don't scare me because we've been through so many hurricanes, but I've seen what water can do as damage. And when it rises and when it sweeps things down, which, I mean, you have to heed the real warning. You can't swim in those waters. But fire, kind of being newish, we're 10 years in, but fire has always felt like it was a wildfire, out in the wild. Now that it's obviously an experience for this city, for the people in the city, in the Palisades and Eaton Canyon and elsewhere, it's just this real, I would say, I hope that looks better because I did try something new, but it was faster. Yeah, we had to run through a ton of scenarios about preparing what to do, and then the responsibility as a business owner, you do need to act quickly, think quickly, and communicate well. So that was challenging. First, being on the same page with my husband was a bit challenging. We just saw the risk differently. He's a type that really is fact-based and relies on facts. And then I guess I went into a mode of well, this is how people feel, this is how I feel. And he was going into more of a, well, this is what the facts are and this is what they're reporting, so I'm gonna rely on that. And so that was kind of the first thing we ran into. It wasn't too much of a disagreement by any means, but it was definitely, it took a moment for us to talk out those things. Today I'm actually gonna give myself a little bit more eyebrow. I can't see what I'm doing, so, oh God, let's just hope that turned out. My lips have been super chapped, so I brought a chapstick from home. This is Lip Smacker Kiwi with saran wrap because this is actually not mine. This is one of my children who must have gotten this at a birthday party, but I found it without a cap on, so I wanted to save it. Some saran wrap. I've been super dry anyway. Throw it in there. And then as far as that will support me, it's good. I've been really liking a little bit of eyeshadow in the month of January. It's not something I commonly go to, but it's been nice to kind of add a little bit of dimension to my face. And I don't do eyeliner. I can find a brush, but I'm also really, really blind right now. I could be hiding. It's not here. No brush, I'm going with the fingers. Okay. I'm gonna go with from here, I'm gonna go with a peachy color option because of the outfit today. I'm just going with some brighter stuff. First, the second thing we had to do wasn't really doing anything, but to mentally prepare ourselves in terms of a checklist. So we didn't have a checklist. So now we have a checklist. We're thinking, okay, will our servers be okay for all of the data that we rely on? What would we do with the product? What would we do with our samples? What would we do with remote working? So in that regard, we now have a checklist of what we would do with those things. Thankfully, we back up our systems, not daily, but almost daily. And so that's cloud-based. And that gave me a lot of comfort that we could literally just, for example, pop back up. If we have to move locations, we could still find a computer that works and log in and access our information. The big thing that's physical is that we are a product business, so having our samples ready, we are always working 9 months ahead. So it's January and we're working on holiday. So I just reviewed October, the samples are here. November, 60% is here. December, 30% is here. So that is critical because we have a pretty sophisticated calendar, and that calendar has to go with like sample development, design, theme building, colors, print decisions, ordering fabric, going into the first prototype of the sample, then moving into deciding yes, no, make changes, do the fitting, go into salesman samples, which is like a baby production, get those salesman samples here and launch with the photo shoot. So we're in that proto stage, the first sample stage with our holiday collection, holiday being October, November, December. And so the most physical thing I would need to do to be prepared for a crisis would be to get all those samples, which would fit into maybe 2 cars, like really full, not cars, like vans. We have 1 company van, so that could carry probably 1 brand, but we do have 2 brands. So we would probably need to take 2 of our personal cars by minivan and another and actually fill it up with those physical things. The rest, we're really quite fortunate because we do make sample sets that our reps across the US have a set of their own in terms of spring, summer, and fall, which are actively selling right now. So in terms of product, we only carry about 45 days worth of product. So we'd be really fortunate that if, God forbid, something happened, and it did to many people here, and all of it is gone from fire damage, then we would be probably stopped up for about a month and a half. But new product would be coming in for, let's say, March and April that we could receive, maybe in a different location, obviously, but we could continue running our business that way. Also, in terms of sales, we don't do sales here. We actually do sales across the United States at different regional markets and at the Magic Trade Show and on the road. Our sales reps will take the product into their cars and drive around and meet their buyers and their boutiques and do road work. So it's actually pretty diversified in terms of how we do our sales. It's hard work. It's really covering the whole country is a physical job. And so we're really fortunate that we have very few meetings in the actual building itself. So yeah, I think we were really fortunate. It was a practice of gratitude to go through it because we're lucky that we didn't have to go through it, whereas so many people do. So that being said, we've been finding ways, we've been thinking and putting our thoughts together in terms of how can we support the community, because we know that this is going to be a really long road. Building the community back up could take 5 to 10 years. There is a town called Paradise, California that had a devastating fire, I think 2015 or somewhere around 2015. They're still rebuilding. So I saw an interview with the mayor of Paradise, California, and he said that it took a year to build the first house. It took 3 to 4 months just to clean up the debris. So the scale of that fire is actually considered still bigger than the fires here. However, it's just immense. It's an immense loss for our community. And so what we're gonna do, the first thing I did was last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago, popped up, the Saturday right after the fire started, was popped up and had a community event to give out clothes to anyone who was displaced, evacuated, or who had lost their homes. And we were able to help about 30 some odd families. And what was happening is many people couldn't even get here. They're evacuated out of town. And they didn't really know the status of their homes at the times. And some did know, but they didn't have a place to come back to. So they had to stay out of town until they found a permanent house. So a lot of that support turned out to be friends of friends that could come and put a package together. a care package of clothing together for that person to make sure it fits their aesthetic. It actually worked out really great to have that personal touch because we could style for them, not only just like looking for their size, but like, you know, do they need work clothes? Are they actually going on vacation soon? You know, what is their lifestyle like? And so this was a very productive way for me to connect with the folks who needed the help and needed the product. And so it was such a huge honor for us. But what I noticed is that logistically, it's really challenging for people to come at a specific time. And for us as a company, I can only host it something like that to that scale. I pulled out 3,000 pieces on about 25 racks. And so on that scale, it has to be a weekend event. And so, you know, with more processing and more thinking, we think that actually this support for the community is going to have to be somewhat available beyond 1 or 2 pop-up events. And so we do have some space in the backyard. And we have this little house called the Casita, and it's a little glass house. It's probably about 600 square feet, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, but we were using it as a meeting room, and it does have beautiful natural light, and it has some big doors in the front and in the back, and it's just kind of this like pretty creative space. And so we weren't really actively using it beyond just for meeting and a little bit of storage, so we're going to change that into a community boutique. So I'm really excited to share that with you. The process is going to take some time to make it look nice, but it will be a lot more sustainable for me as a business operator and a mom of 3 to continue to serve the community in a way that is still intentional and also not just like a dumping ground of donations, but a really beautiful curated space that they could feel I mean, I heard stories of, you know, how hard it was for some folks to go to donation centers and to wait in line and be there with just piles and piles of stuff. It's just so overwhelming, they're saying. So I think what we can offer are one-on-one private appointment schedules in advance that's open to my schedule and to theirs. And in that way, it really is much more of an elevated shopping experience. And with that, you know, Sadie and Sage is going to offer 3 pieces of brand new clothing and everything else that they like. And we found out that there are some people that wanted more than 3, that they're going to get a really good discounted price, you know, about 85 to 90% off retail. So, for example, at the community event, I was offering a price where people were hugging me. And I was like, oh, wow. So I also got some feedback where after the event, people were like, how did it go? They were all being super lovely about their comments, but I did get a little bit of facial expressions when I was like, oh, it went great. And, you know, some people did pick more things and they paid and they're like, oh, you charged money. So that's something I just want to clarify. I really thought through this and, you know, giving clothes is one of the easiest things I can do as a clothing business operator. But I'm also here to build an intentional relationship with people who we're supporting. And in that sense, like, I also want to invite them to be thoughtful in terms of purchasing or getting donations. And so as meaningful as it is to give things that are free, also giving an opportunity for them to purchase gives them dignity and also allows them to be a lot more intentional about, you know, just like when you spend money, you're going to think about what you're spending your money on. And so as much as I want to give 100% free product, some of the product will be for sale. And so I'm happy to offer super discounted prices that are better than Goodwill, frankly. That's what I've been hearing, the feedback. I haven't been to a Goodwill in a while, but I've been hearing good things that compared to a Goodwill, we are significantly, and no shade on Goodwill, but just experience-wise that we can offer something that feels very elevated, very dignified, and it gives people the space to process without having to feel overwhelmed by the whole experience. It is already so much for them and it's going to be a long road. So we're going to be here for the community and I'm excited to show you what the community boutique will be looking like, and our goal is to pop up in the next 2 to 4 weeks.